Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Well Nerds Podcast. This is episode number 108. My name is Slater, and I'm here with Adam and Caitlin.
What's up?
Hello.
And we are back.
We're back.
Back in action after our action on the water. It didn't really make sense, but
Okay,
that's one way of going about it.
Before we talk about Whale Nerds Weekend, I do just want to tell everyone thank you for supporting us no matter how you do it, whether it's online, sharing the podcast with people, or donating to us on Patreon, or buying merch, or checking out our website, whatever it is. Thank you for listening to the podcast and supporting us thus far. But especially thank you to all the people who have come on trips. I'm pretty blown away by how many people come from how many different places and how far away. And wow, it's awesome.
It's pretty crazy. And like we had a couple of guests that were on both trips so far.
Mm-hmm.
And I think seeing the pride they take in being whale nerds and coming on our trips was like the most eye-opening thing to me. Like that it just blew me away. Like I really couldn't believe like what we've created, and like to actually see that itself, like in a person, like just like, I don't know, it's just weird. It was the coolest thing ever. So thank you guys for coming out with us. It really, like Caitlin said, it means the world to us. So
no, it's just amazing and all the people that raise their hand when they're like,
yeah,
this is my first humpback. This was my
that
first
was
killer
cool.
whale, which was also very lucky to be able to show people killer whales, especially given some of the sea state we started with. And just all of it coming together for those two trips to see killer whales was really amazing.
Yeah, it really all did come together like perfectly. It's
well,
pretty.
Let's recap it then. Let's start with so Friday. All three trips left at the same time every day. It wasn't like the last trip we ran. They all were morning trips.
But the best thing was really just the Paris Bakery croissants.
Oh my god. There's like, I'm all about that ham and cheese croissant life.
No, I thought I was going for the plain, and then next thing you know,
it was like raspberry.
Yeah.
Rookie mistake, dude. Come on.
Well, the rest of them had like you could see the fruit, and then there was the one that was on the sly. It was actually still fruit filled.
Yeah.
So, so Friday was, well, I guess they were all fairly tough weather days if you're not used to the water, but Friday was definitely the biggest sea conditions, big swell, and it was
big swell, but I feel like the interval was actually better that day.
Yeah.
Wasn't it further apart?
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess they're all pretty similar, but
yeah. The spring in Monterey, I mean, we're lucky we got all three trips off the dock, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, honestly.
Just saw it today.
Yep. Yeah, we haven't been out for the whole day. Today. We didn't get out yesterday afternoon. Yeah. So
but we started off the Friday trip with, it was a little bumpy coming out of that big swell, pretty lumpy coming out of the harbor, but we had humpbacks within like a couple of miles of Moss Landing.
Yep.
And they didn't stop for the rest of the, we pretty much were in humpbacks almost the entire trip.
Mm-hmm.
Which is awesome because the day before, I guess 2 days before, Slater and I went out and there was no humpbacks.
Yeah, there was only 10.
Okay, but we had to go out so far to find those 10, and then we immediately lost them. So
we found some though. There ended up being more, but yeah.
The difference between that, it was incredible. I've never seen that many humpbacks. Like just everywhere you looked, there was spouts and whales breaching or tail throwing or socializing with each other. It was pretty epic.
Then there was this really cool part of the trip where I went downstairs to get the lunch out. And we found killer whales at that exact moment and then lost them at that exact moment. So the boat actually got one really good close pass of killer whales, 4 of them, right? It was 4?
Yeah, 4.
4 or 5.
If not 5, I think it was 5.
4 or 5. And they made one pass by the boat and they were never seen again. And I came up, I was like, what's up? They're like, oh, they're gone. And I was like, what?
I didn't even know you were
I
downstairs
didn't
when
even
it
know I was
happened.
downstairs. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we had gotten a report from another boat that there were killer whales around, but because of the sea condition, it's hard to keep track of them because you can lose them behind the swell really fast. And there was no male in the group. So we got over there and Kate sort of got settled in. And then the next dive sequence, we just got lucky and they came up right next to the boat. And so everybody that was out on deck saw them. And then they went down and they came up again and the other boat picked them up, but they were like over a half mile from us. So Kate's like, I'm not going to race over in these sea conditions to go catch up to them. We'll just go slow and we'll go catch up to the other boat. And by the time we got there, they went down and then no one saw them again.
The next sequence, they had disappeared. And that's
Like I got
the
a
thing
real
with killer
distant
whales, like,
look at them and they were swimming straight away from us. And then they gave us a slip.
yeah.
So, but
Oh,
we
yeah.
still had great sightings. I mean, you can't argue with 60 humpbacks. I mean,
And that's conservative. If we like
Yeah.
really wanted to, and because like you got to think, we only went like, we didn't really go south of the canyon that day. Like we didn't end up towards Point Pinos or anything.
mhm.
And they had whales, and there was, like we were up in Soquel, there were tons of whales. So it's like that's 60. I would say 60 with a big plus sign on it.
Yeah.
But the second day is exactly why it's a perfect example of why we say you should go on multiple trips in Monterey,
Mhm.
because we didn't have killer whales the second day, but we had all those humpback whales. And then we got a call from some boats down south that had Rizzos, white-sided dolphins, and supposedly there were some northern right whale dolphins that we never got to look at.
We
But
never
Yes.
got to look at.
yeah, but still, it was like we had breaching Rizzos, dolphins, and Pacific
Yeah.
white-sided dolphins.
Great looks at the dolphins.
Yeah, really good looks at them. And then we also
And
had
great
breaching
looks at the
humpback
humpbacks
whale.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
breaching humpback. And so
And there's two that were peck slapping right next to each other. That was super cool.
yeah, crossing.
And then one of them breached. You guys call them alternators there. I had never heard
That's
that term
that's
before.
Slater's term.
No, that's just Kate and I and
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's like an inside thing.
yeah, it's just like I'll explain it after. But
Anyways, but we had good surface activity from a lot of different humpback whales that day. So that was nice. And
Yeah.
that was a huge group of dolphins. It was like 300 plus Rizzos and then easily 60 plus Pacific white-sided dolphins. So it was really good.
And we had a
looks.
super, super interesting encounter with the Rizzo's dolphin. And we were able
yeah.
to determine that it was a male.
Oh yeah, we had a little bit of R-rated moment with the Rizzos. There was a couple Rizzos sort of chasing each other around and rolling around together, and then all of a sudden one of the males was up on his back, and there was no question that it was a male.
I did actually get a tiny clip of it. I look back. It's like, but I started it right during that moment, so like it
Yeah.
moves very fast.
Juan
But-
got
but
it.
Juan got an awesome video
Sky
of
Angle
it.
Drones. Did he post it?
I don't
I
think
don't
he's
think so,
posted
not
it.
yet.
He posted it in a story or
He
something.
put it in his story, but he hasn't posted it on his
Okay,
page.
well,
Yeah.
he got a good 4K 120 slow motion video of it. He was very proud. showing
Which
So
pictures the
funny.
next day.
to Caitlin's point, Caitlin's been on the water for a long time. I've been on the water for a long time. That's the first time I've ever seen that. That's probably rarer than killer whales, like
Yeah.
it's pretty
Yeah, I
funny.
feel like killer whales happens quite a bit if you're around.
Yeah,
them.
if you're around, you see him, you're for sure going to see him at least a couple times a year. But Rizzo's dolphins mating, like that's a little
It's weird,
different.
though. You'd think you'd see it a lot because, white sides you see it every second. You see it with all the other.
Yeah,
dolphins, you
I
see it a
mean,
lot.
I guess
you don't
I've
see it with
seen 'em-
white sides that much either, though. Not as much as like commons. Commons are
Yeah,
just
I've seen
on it
Rizzo's
all
like
day long.
I've seen them like belly to belly before, but never where like the males
Well, he
showing
was
off.
solo too. He was just out in the air catching a breeze.
Well, I think he like broke away.
You
He
think
broke
about
away
it.
from the one dolphin and was still on his back and just like kept swimming on his back. Because the white sides, especially when you see him leaping high out of the water or back flipping, that's when you should really review your photos too, because the males are often just like letting it all hang out. So that's when I've seen it on white sides.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Juan's so funny. He comes up to all the passengers on Sunday. He's like, "Hey, you want to see a porno or you want to see a
Yeah.
dirty video?" I was like, I think we just had a very weird group bonding experience for all the Sunday passengers.
Seriously.
Everybody like lined up to watch it though. That's the funny
Oh
part.
yeah. Well, yeah, because he showed it to me first, and I was like, oh my God. Like, so everybody was like, what are you watching? And I was like, a dolphin.
Well, it was super cool that, like, I don't know, like, we obviously didn't get orca on that day, and that was our main target species. But even so, I mean, I think that was one of my favorite days. Like, the humpbacks were great, the Rizzos were awesome, and I think people really enjoyed that day too. So
also, people, once you see dolphins in big groups like that, like, sorry to say, but the action's a lot better than killer whales can be, or humpbacks. Like, dolphins can put on a show. They do some, some good stuff out there in the high seas.
Well, and I just think like those are two interesting and cool looking species, right? Like every Rizzo's dolphin looks very markedly different than the next one. And then the whitesides can do such acrobatic things, or bow ride, or surf the wake. So your opportunity for cool up close encounters and interesting looks at animals is really high when you come across a big group of them.
we had one lag that was jumping pretty high for a while there. He gave us 5 or 6 pretty good leaps, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I got a really it's like probably one of my favorite photos from the whole trip. Is it's like coming out of the top of a swell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was super cool.
Yeah, it'll be in the photo package.
There you go.
Yep.
Day 3 was pretty lame. I mean, all those killer whales kind of sucked. Day 3 was awesome. What did we see? We started off with humpbacks. I feel like
it was foggy.
Well, we started out, it was foggy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. We had some peck slappers in the fog too, because I have a photo of like you can barely see the peck fin, and then like one is looking up at the same time.
Dude, it was so funny. I was standing next to Kate when she saw that, and she was like, "Oh my God, what is that? It looks like a dorsal fin." And they were like, "Oh, it's a peck slapper."
Well, actually, yesterday or maybe when I was out with you, Caitlin, when you were naturalizing, it was like a peck fin goes like that real quick. If they lunge, there are all these whales at them. The next day we're side lunging, by the way. We'll get to that next week. But like if they do a fast lunge and their peck fin just like barely comes out of the water,
you're like, what the heck was that?
Yeah.
Or if they roll on their side and their fluke drags for a bit.
Yeah. Fluke even more so, I think.
Yeah, definitely. But again, still like over 60 humpback whales for sure, and intermittently surface active all day Sunday too. And,
we had this crazy breach that was like we were in the fog, and this whale breached straight at us. It was crazy.
Oh yeah, that was when we went way up north to see
we were in SoCal.
What was going on up there. Yeah.
And
we didn't know it was there, and it just came out of nowhere. So that's
so we were watching this humpback that was breaching, but it led us into the wind. And at this point, the fog we had just pushed out of the fog, and then the wind was starting to come. We got on this humpback that did a couple breaches. It did breach for us. And then again, I was going down for the lunch. I was literally I just put out all the sandwiches, and I walked out eating one, and I was like, guys, the food's ready. and then as I'm coming up the stairs, I hear a yell, which I found out it was Kate that yelled. And then Adam came swinging through the galley on a freaking rope, dude. And it's just, I was like, what? And it was like, it happened so fast. And basically Kate just past his humpback, like a quarter mile, had spotted dorsal fin. And so, I mean, obviously it was killer whales. And
I feel like it was even further than that. Like she had a really good spot. And it was weird too, because like there was a couple humpbacks in that zone, and they're all kind of singles, and they were breaching from a distance, and we got up to them and they stopped. But that whale went down, and like it was super weird. I was sitting there and I was like, this whale's been down for like 10 minutes. We should probably turn and go look for something else, or just go look for other humpbacks, or even just turn into the bay and get out of this wind. But then I was like, something feels off. And then like literally with the second I thought that, Kate screamed killer whales, and the whole boat just exploded. And yeah, of course, Slater was downstairs for it. But
that's why we saw it. I mean, I think she was waiting out that whale.
I think she was waiting. She was waiting out that whale.
Since we were sitting there looking northwest, she's looking around just to see what else is happening.
Exactly.
And guess what?
Because there were some albatross around too before that happened. And we thought maybe they're just riding the wind line, but maybe they were riding the wind line and following those killer whales.
And who picked that number? It was crazy.
Oh yeah, that was your number for the day.
I'd say
what was it?
I told her go to 48 and 03. It's like this spot that the blue whales are always there. I had some good lunch feeding last summer. And she was like, I want to go there too. And we were it ended up being 48, 2.5, which like we were just there, but they came from that, like they were coming in from the west.
Yeah.
So it was like,
So gnarly,
so
dude.
if we would have gone there right off the bat, and I'm just kidding.
No, they would have not been there if we would have gone there right off the
been there.
bat.
In Anya Nuevo or something. Such a it's just so funny how it turns the trip from like awesome to, or like good to great.
We had seen
like,
an elephant seal
really
not
does.
long before that also.
We did?
Yeah, like maybe 15 or 20 minutes before that, right before she let Tim drive for a couple minutes. I came upstairs and was like, was that an elephant seal? And she was like, yeah, I think
really?
so. Yeah. I think me and like 3 passengers saw it.
I saw an elephant seal like the day before the trip or actually the day before Adam got up on one of my trips. It's funny. It stayed up quite a while, and I was like, "It's gonna go down." Like,
yeah,
I told my passenger, I was like, "Don't stop, but it's gonna go down," and it went down, of course. But they're around.
Yeah, so we came across 6 at least in our group initially.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the cool thing too about those orcas is that Slater and I were literally just talking, and Eric too. We're literally just talking about a whale that like nobody's seen in, I think, over 2 years at the very least.
Like I think 2018.
I think it was honestly like 2018 or 2019.
May of 2018 is the last time I think Eric and I had saw it. But
yeah. So his name is Liner. I had never seen Liner, but Liner's this big male with a crooked fin to the right at the very top, and he has this very distinctive line in his eye patch. And we were literally just talking about it. It was that day, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were talking.
It was like literally 20 minutes before. Yeah. And we were all talking about it. We're like, dang, nobody's seen Liner. He's probably gone. Like realistically, he's probably dead. And then of course he pops up right in that group there. Super, super interesting. But yeah, I think our first group is probably 6 or 7 whales. And then when we called them out on the radio, and Kate called them out on the radio, some other boats started to come towards us, and they found another group. And of course, the 2 groups met up, and it was just so cool.
Yeah, I guess it ended up being like 16 total.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard to count. There was 2 males.
It was hard to count. Like
4 or 5 females, and then like a bunch of juveniles. 1 really little calf. Like it was hard to count them all.
I have a photo of Liner and their male next to each other.
Nice.
Like riding in the. So one thing that was cool about the killer whale encounter was we were really lucky that they were traveling into the bay for a little while. Like,
yeah.
Because the weather, anytime they turned back, it was like,
yeah.
Oh, great.
It was hard to keep track of.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also like
it was getting windier and windier and
yeah. And so, but we got lucky. It was just us and the sanctuary, and we were just cruising, like kind of paralleling them off to the back right, and they were just zooming into the bay, and then they would go on a dive. Then they would pop up, like they would do a little zag, and then we'd get up to them, and then they'd come back into the bay.
Yeah, so every time they were traveling into the bay, they were at the surface for a long time.
Yeah.
And they were porpoising at like super, they were porpoising super fast. And there were some shots. I know we were all like thinking that there was a pod with a gray whale like in the fog somewhere that somebody had missed. That's what we were all hoping for. But it was, I don't know if they're riding the swells or just doing their thing, but it's pretty impressive to see a bull orca shooting out of a swell that fast. You know, like that's a big animal. And some swells, like 5 or 6 of them would pop out at a time. So it's pretty cool to see that many just riding the swells.
Yeah, and we were able to go live for a little bit too. So if you weren't there, you can watch the very bad cell phone version of it if you want on our Instagram.
There you go. That's appealing.
Yeah, don't watch it because you might not want to go. You might get seasick. No,
you can hear me whine about how cold my hand is because it's cold.
It's so weird. Whenever you go live, people don't recognize that when I'm live and I'm holding with one hand, it gets cold.
Dude, my arm was like all cramped afterwards because you like have to hold it like tight to your body, you know, so you're not like all over the place rocking it around everywhere. And then it was windy, so my hand was freezing.
Yeah, my hand always gets cold.
But yeah, it was cool to see that big of a group. And I think our people were just like stoked out of their minds. So that was awesome. And then Kate was super cool and stayed out an extra like hour for us too. That was really nice of her.
Awesome. It was cool too that like like Kate always talks about the pace of a trip, right? And it was like it had gotten to a point where everybody wanted to see killer whales, and obviously that's what they're all there for. And it was like kind of like the point of no return, right? It's like either we're gonna find them right now or we're gonna go home and not find them. And it was like boom, like Kate got them, and it was just like the perfect ending to the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and
just
we
super,
like
super
kind of,
cool.
it sounds like kind of messed up, but like we kind of lost them at the right time too.
We
Because like I
absolutely
feel like
did.
we had peaked like with everyone's excitement, and then like they were starting to get real squirrely and the weather was just degrading. And Kate and I were like, we should think about trying to go in, but it's hard to leave them when you have them.
Yeah, exactly.
So then
It
when they
is.
gave
We'd rather
all
them dust
5
us.
boats the slip that were there, it was like, oh, perfect. Well, we're gonna go home.
See ya. Yep. Oh, just so cool. Like I said, it was the perfect ending to the third day and the whole trip. Like, I think people were just so happy, and just to see that many, like that was a big group, especially
Yeah.
a couple different pods coming together.
Yeah.
Guess what? There's more killer whales to be seen. Maybe
Yeah.
some more humpbacks.
Season's
Maybe
not
some
over yet.
trees. I don't know.
Maybe some
Maybe some
trees.
trees.
Well, hang on. I got a few more notes here. So what I will say about the people that booked all 3 days, I think that they, as long as they were fine with the sea conditions, they absolutely made the right call, because they got such a diversity of wildlife over the course of the 3 days that I think that that was really the right way to do it. If it worked for your schedule and if you could afford it, doing all 3 days in a row was a really good plan, because you could see how different each trip was.
Yeah.
But even a few people on Saturday realized we had space on Sunday. So even though we struck out Saturday and didn't find killer whales, they rebooked that night for Sunday. And guess what? They got the killer whales.
And so that group of those 3 ladies are super cool. And they do a lot of whale watching in like Newport, and they've come to Santa Barbara a couple of times. And the 3 of them, I think 2 of the 3 had seen killer whales in Newport, like the last time they had the 51s, which is like 2018 or something.
Yeah.
And so they're all just wanting to see killer whales so badly. We didn't get them that Saturday, but we're like, you should probably come the next day. Like, it's like we didn't necessarily have a feeling, but it's like you give yourself as much time on the water.
Yeah, just give yourself one more chance. Yeah.
And it just worked out perfectly. So
I mean, that's why stoked. We're not making it up when we say that you should go multiple days. It's not that we want your money. It's that we want you to see what you came to see. And you can't guarantee wild animals. So you got to come out multiple days to try your luck. So
yeah, increase your chances for sure.
Exactly.
I love it because the 3 people that decided to come, it was like, they were like, we're going to let you know. And we were all at dinner and I was like, Caitlin, did they let you know yet? And then like right as we were leaving dinner, you were like, they texted, they want to go.
Yeah.
And then the next morning it was foggy and I was like, oh no.
Literally, yeah.
It's a risk. It's always going to be a risk.
Yeah.
But then guess what? That risk turned into a big reward. So
yeah, exactly.
It absolutely did.
So if you felt like you missed out this spring, you're in luck. We're going to go do
so
it
lucky
again,
for you.
but somewhere
lucky
else.
for you.
Slater, where are we going to go that has humpback whales and killer whales and big trees right next to the ocean?
Well, they also have these things called Dall's porpoise, harbor porpoise.
Sometimes the Dall's porpoise, harbor porpoise crossed.
Minke whales at lunch feed sometimes, like side lunch.
Stellar sea lions, which are super cool. We actually
Bald
saw stellars on our
eagles.
trip.
You know what? Back it up real quick. We did see a stellar sea lion on the trip.
We did see one stellar sea lion on the trip.
That was super cool, actually.
We're gonna go see their big
gathering.
Well, no, we're gonna see the males. We only saw a female. It's not good enough.
Yeah.
Anyways, where are we going?
San Juan Islands.
We are.
Woo-hoo.
October. Mark your calendars.
And you can go too.
Yeah, join us. It's October 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. So this fall, you've got almost 6 months to plan for it. We're going to be going out of Friday Harbor with Maya's Legacy. And we're going to be it's going to be more like the October trip we ran last year. It's going to be a 3-day event. You get 6 hours of whale watching on the water each day. We're going to do a photo ID workshop. We're going to do a few meals together. We're going to do a lecture one night with dinner. So it'll be a good time. It's going to be really cool to be up there in the fall. The lighting can be really beautiful that time of year. And I personally like seeing big trees next to the ocean. I miss that when I'm pretty much everywhere except for home. So it'll be a really good time up there in Friday Harbor. So if you want to join us, tickets are available now on our website, thewhalenerds.com. Just
Insane, I
Can't
already
even
booked.
believe it. I can't even believe it. That's honestly cool. Like the coolest thing ever that we're able to
All
do
right, just
that.
pick up all the spaces. I'm booking twice.
Oh my gosh. So
I
yeah,
don't
we're
even-
super
I don't even know
excited.
what to
And it's
say.
gonna be a
Super cool.
different kind of boat than we have been doing. The High Spirits is a 65-foot vessel, and it takes, we cap it at 25 max. But this is going to be the 2 Zodiacs up at Maya's, and so it'll be smaller groups on each boat. And it's a different experience being that low to the water and on a different kind of vessel. So pretty cool stuff. And the inland waters around the San Juan Islands are usually much calmer than Monterey Bay.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
really are.
that's one thing that is nice about those trips is that about that boat and the San Juan Island is that if there is weather, the boat is enclosed.
Mhm.
And what's really cool about the boat being enclosed is it hides you from the weather. But the boat also has these big square windows that all open up. So that like if you want to stay inside and shoot, so you could be in the front of the boat, in the middle of the boat, inside the cabin, all the windows open up. So it's like plenty of room for photographers to shoot. And then
Mhm.
the back of the boat has plenty of room too. And there, it's going to be a limited capacity.
Yeah,
trip
we're not
too,
going to
so-
fill it all the way full.
Yeah. So, and then the thing about the weather is that even if it's like bad on one side of the island, there's so many islands and waterways to tuck behind that you can kind of like route out your trip to avoid bad weather, which is kind of nice for the most part.
And it's like working in the San Juans for a summer. It's like, especially with having 6 hours a day, somebody could get a report of killer whales up north in Canada,
Mhm.
and we could be out there for 3 hours, but those boats are so fast and the weather's usually pretty good that you can skirt up there if you want to. We'll have the time and we'll have the boats and we'll have the weather to be able to really take advantage of our time out in the water. So that's super cool too. And the Maya's crew is awesome. We all love Jeff, Sarah, and everybody else there. So we're excited to hang out with them for sure.
Yeah, we went all the way to Nanaimo.
Yeah, and they can go, the restrictions are gone, so they can go into Canada
Yeah,
now.
they can go to Canada again. Exactly.
So for a car, it's like 100 miles, but that's like taking a ferry across and driving into Nanaimo. So on the boat, I want to say it's probably like 80 straight shot or 90. So that's pretty far. We did that all in one all-day trip. So we saw that. We saw Tuluc, the gray whale, the gray orca.
Yeah.
Not the gray whale, the gray orca. Like, just for a gray whale, gosh.
One of their sounders.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, we hope you can join us in October. And thank you to everyone that has joined us thus far on a trip. You guys are awesome. We really appreciate you. I really like our all-day trip passengers that we've had so far. We've had a pretty good mix of people. Some people it's their first whale ever. Some people came out, they're very seasoned and they're photographers. Some people just love being out on the water. And so it was a really cool mix of people. And I could see some of them making friends with each other throughout the weekend part too, which was really cool.
I like that. It's like, I want them to come and meet someone and then they just become best friends and then they go on all whale trips everywhere.
whale travel buddies.
I like the sense of building a community.
Yeah, for sure.
It's super cool.
So basically, if you don't come, you're kind of lame.
Wow, don't talk to them like that. So yeah, hope to see you in October, and thanks.
Yep. If you made it through the whole recap and hearing about the trip, thank you so much for listening.
What's our secret whale? Liner?
Sure. Killer whale.
Sure. Liner.
Killer whale's always
Liner.
It's like killer whale this, killer
No,
whale that.
This is
Liner,
a killer whale
just
trip,
Liner.
though.
Liner.
Just Liner, dude. That's so cool. We were just talking about that whale, and then all of a sudden he pops up. Like, what are the odds? We manifested it.
Or he just swam into the bay.
Anyways, thanks everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Later.